flowing of life gets somehow stuck in us, that's when diseases can develop, right?
Absolutely. And
And
in polarity therapy, I learned you go from one point to another point to get the flow going. And when I jump to the family system and see all of the ancestors, you can see where the energy is blocked, and you just have to figure out how to unblock it. Is it movement? Is it a word, a phrase, a sentence? Or is it clearing that emotional pattern that allows the energy to flow freely?
right. And there is even a mention that Bert had regarding cancer specifically, right? In many examples of breast cancer, where this movement of the daughter not wanting to see the mother or bow down to the mother to take
Yes,
in the mother could cause the cancer, right?
yes. His Bert's comment that I learned in that very first cancer conference that I observed him in was, women would rather die than bow to their mothers. That's a pretty powerful statement when you
Yeah.
think about it. And it took me a long time to really grok what he meant by that. And if I'm better than my mother and I look down on my mother, that energy that's supposed to flow to me from my mother never gets to me. And that's a
Right.
huge energy block in the family system.
Right. And then when you do manifest the diseases in your body, you learn to take them in as your friend, as opposed to exclude or want to exclude it, the way family members and ancestors sometimes get excluded and cause these issues, right?
And sometimes that disease entity is representative of that excluded family member. And if that
Uh-huh.
family member is excluded back in, sometimes the disease just dissipates.
And sometimes that can even be children that were not able to be born, that were either aborted by natural means, like a miscarriage or a
Hmm.
forced abortion, right?
A medical intervention.
Right.
And all of them need to be honored. Everyone has a place, which is part
Yes.
of order. Everyone has their place, and their place needs to be honored.
And one of the things that Bird caused a big ruckus in the beginning, especially coming in the United States, is this integration between the victims and the perpetrators, especially when it came to World War II and Holocaust victims and Nazi perpetrators, right? I was wondering if you could maybe describe a little bit about that, how this plays out in us and in our family system, this victim perpetrator dynamic.
Well, I think we all have perpetrator victim energy within us,
Right.
and it gets played out with different people. You know, on some levels, I feel victimized by certain people, and on other levels, I feel I'm better than, which leads to being a perpetrator energy or aggressive energy if it's there long enough.
Right.
And so, in terms of perpetrator and victim energy, we look for it to see where it is in the family system because we get entangled either with a perpetrator or with a victim. And then we carry that consciousness with us. And it's not even ours. So there's
Right.
ways to separate it and let it go. And then we can become ourselves. Now, we talked about a little bit about schizophrenia earlier.
Right.
What Bert Hellinger said was the person who is schizophrenic is identifying both with a perpetrator and a victim. So if you think identifying with a murderer and someone who was murdered and try to bring them together, yeah, that's pretty difficult. You know, it's it's a it's a pretty big task. And
Right.
so what he has said is the person that we point our finger at in the family because they're institutionalized or they act crazy or they have to be on medication, because they're schizophrenic and we don't want them around. They have the most love for the family, Bert says, because they're attempting to heal the biggest split in the family between a perpetrator and a victim.
They're
And
trying to bring all the parts that belong and then have a place, and at some point were excluded through
yeah,
many situations,
and
right?
most of us would only take one part, and this person's taking both, to bring them together.
And in those cases, Susan, let's say there is a person suffering from severe schizophrenia. If they were to have a constellation session and you were to be able to pinpoint in their family line where this sort of schism comes from, and you do the proper movements to help resolve it, can their symptoms simply vanish, you think?
Um, I feel like their symptoms may be relieved a bit, whether or not the disease process actually totally disappears may depend on how long they've had it, you
Right,
know, um, whether or not it and how much medication they took for 50 years,
right.
that sort of thing. Um, but the possibility exists. Wouldn't it be nice, you know,
Absolutely.
if the person could become and function more normally,
Yeah.
whatever
And I
normal is?
and I think in the world of constellations, it's so interesting for people that are watching this to maybe understand a little bit more the different layers and levels of consciousness that act upon us. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have the personal, individual one. That's the realm of quote unquote free will that we think we have.
Hmm.
Then there is the family conscience, which is the one we are a part of, whether we choose to be or not, whether we believe we belong in it or not. Genetically, we belong to it as family
Yep.
of origin, our
Right.
ancestors. And that has a conscience of itself, group conscience, right?
Yes, absolutely.
There's another one, but let's stick to these two for now. And I wanted to see if you could help us understand how this group conscience sometimes overrides, or many times overrides, our own individual quote unquote free will.
Yes. Um, when you're a member of that group, in order to belong to any group, but right now we're focusing on the family of origin, there's certain rules and regulations that you need to abide to in order to belong to that group. And if we go against that group, then they have the ability to throw us out of the group. And when we were tribes way back when, that was not a healthy thing to happen because there's saber-toothed tigers and, big elephants and God knows what else is going to eat us. So
Right.
we want to belong to that tribe. And children do anything to belong. They will do anything out of love for their parents, even dying for their parents. You know,
Sacrificing
it's
their
it's
own lives, right?
exactly for the love of their family, for the love of their parents. So this group conscience is really um, when I teach this in a workshop, I use one of those really thick, round exercise bands, and I
Mm-hmm.
put it around a person and have their family standing behind them, and they're pulling on it. So if the person can't move forward, you know, well, the truth is, in order for us to grow, we need to move beyond that family system.
Right.
Now, we don't step over that band, you know, in order to really grow, we just keep pushing and we end up pulling them with us. The whole family comes with us as
Right.
we grow. But that family system is really pulling us back with comments like, why should you go to college? We didn't go to college. Who do you think you are? You
Right.
know, why do you think you should learn to drive before you're married. We never learned to drive. These
Right.
kinds of attitudes that are part of the family system that come down. And when I'm working, I'm listening for those sentences.
That just come through to you via your intuition.
Well, actually, sometimes the client mentions it.
Got it.
Like somebody said the other day, I have to stay. But the way she said it, that's not her voice.
Mm,
Who in your family said that way back when? And it's now imprinted in the family system that if you get married, you have to stay.
right.
And it's this imprinted energy that it's like the record, it
Right.
gets grooved really deep. And then, you just fall in step and you're part of the record.
It's what Rupert Sheldrake calls morphic resonance.
Right. You're part
That
of
the
the morphic field.
morphic field, it's literally vibrating on a genetic level in every cell of our body, whether it was our great great grandparents that had it imprinted, it doesn't matter. We on some level we will feel it, right?
Right. Well, we are our parents. We are our family, and I I chuckle that people graduate from high school or college and move as far away from home as they can. The East Coast, they move to the West Coast,
Right.
and they're out in California, but they
Yeah.
don't realize they're bringing their whole family with them because it's in here. It's
Right.
in our field. It's in that energy field that's around us that we
and
carry it with us.
and you had mentioned that Bert placed a big emphasis on honoring the dead and making sure that they are adequately seen, and if we believe in prayers and everything, that we do those
Yes.
kinds of rituals and movements of honoring them so that we can live in peace here.
Yes. I
And
think
that does have an influence in constellations, right?
absolutely. And it's important that the dead rest in peace. And when we look in constellations, you can see that sometimes the dead are not resting in peace. And there's an energy block that needs to be resolved so that they can rest in peace. And when they can, in a workshop setting, somebody's who representing someone who's dead will just automatically close their eyes and drift off.
In a peaceful way, right?
Very peaceful.